Since 1922, Haile Selassie made it known that the Kebra Negus is bullshnizzle. Why? Because according to the Kebra Negus, the first king of Ethiopia was Menelik. But Haile Selassie made it known that Menelik was the 99th king of Ethiopia. In other words, that Great Britain published Kebra Negus by James Bruce tried to erase over 4,000 years of Ethiopian monarchy with folklore. So let's read. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. So the God of Jacob is Selah. Come behold the works of the Lord. So who is the Lord? Selah. Thou art my king, O God. Command deliverance for Jacob. Through thee we will push down our enemies. Through thy name we will tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. In God we boast all the day long, and praise thy name forever. Selah. In other words, Haile Selassie is the first, God himself. So who is he? And I myself shall place him as firstborn. Don't forget, it's Haile Selassie the first, and the first is representing firstborn. The most high of the kings of the earth. To time indefinite I shall preserve my loving kindness toward him. Once I have sworn in my holiness to David, I will not tell lies. His seed will prove to be even to time indefinite. Read that slow. His seed itself will prove to be even to time indefinite. So who is King David's seed? Solomon. And his throne as the sun in front of me. As the moon, it will be firmly established for the time indefinite, and as a faithful witness in the skies. Selah. In other words, David's throne will be given to Solomon at the end of times. So Solomon reigned during an era of peace, for God made tranquil all his borders. He built a house to the name of God and established a lasting sanctuary. In other words, till time indefinite. In other words, Europe created an Old and New Testament format and placed the future in the past. And they used the Kebra Negus as a way of changing time. So let's listen very carefully. Haile Selassie is speaking clear English.
England and France abandoned Ethiopia to Mussolini.
Your Imperial Majesty, what were your own personal feelings at that time?
My personal feeling with my hope, I continue to struggle to have our freedom from the fascists.
In other words, he could clearly say, yes, I am. He knows English to say, yes, I am. Now, the other day, there was a post in which says, when Selassie was asked if he was a descendant of Solomon and Sheba, he said, this is just our story. When in fact, there's a big difference between asked and told. When told he was a descendant of Solomon and Sheba, Haile Selassie said, this is just our story. So you see how they changed it? They changed it to when he was asked, to make it seem like he's confirming it, like, yeah, this is our story. No, he was told. So let's listen. This is it right here. Listen carefully.
Around his personal rule.
You are descended, Your Imperial Majesty, from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
This is just our story, ancient story.
Big difference, right? He was told. Listen again. He wasn't asked, he was told. And he could have clearly said, yes, I am a descendant. Instead, he said, this is just our story. In other words, this is some made-up bullshnizzle. Don't you know I made a list of kings since 1922? Watch. Since 1922, in the country of the Blue Nile, included a 13-page appendix with a list of Ethiopian monarchs written by Tafari Markkanen, who later became the Emperor of Ethiopia in 1930. the far right list begins in 4530 BC. So let's watch all the kings that come before Menelik. Remember, Menelik, according to the Kebra Negus, is the first king. But hello, according to this, he comes after Makeda, Saba, and Kandake. And then the 99th king of Ethiopia is Menelik the First. Not the first, he's the 99th king. So look what it says. Menelik is a legendary founder, said to be the son of King Solomon. Not actuality, it's said. Why? Because it's folklore. So there was a king in Ethiopia named Menelik, but he was not the son of Solomon. So Menelik was the legendary first emperor of Ethiopia. This is according to Europe. According to the Kebra Negus. So it's not based on facts. It's based off the Kebra Negus, which is known as folklore. That's why modern scientists dismiss David and Solomon as mythological figures and believe no kingdom could have existed in the region at the time the Bible recounted their activities. It's not in the Bible, it's in the Kebra Negus. The Kebra Negus is telling you they was here thousands of years ago. So it should say in the Kebra Negus, Solomon was the wealthy monarch who ruled over Israel. While many scholars today believe he in fact existed, others remain skeptical. The question is there actually any archaeological evidence that sheds light on Solomon's existence? Why? Because there's literally although no direct textual archaeological evidence of Solomon has ever been discovered. In other words, it's folklore that was made up. So let's listen to what Selassie said again. Remember, he was told, he wasn't asked.
Centralized monarchy. The country, with its 22 million people, revolves around his personal rule.
You are descended, Your Imperial Majesty, from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
This is just R30.